Welcome back to CKLA Chats. I am DLC Foster-Yankey, and in this video, I'll be chatting about Lesson 11, Performing Shakespeare's Work in Unit 7, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Right, so we have 5 components that make up the 90-minute ELA block in Lesson 11, and we'll talk more about those in depth as the video continues. The first of those components is a language warm-up, donkey sounds for 5 minutes. So for this warm-up, students are going to be invited to the front of the classroom in groups, and the teacher will have them put on their bottom transformation costumes. When they are up front, the teacher will tell them to warm up by giving a big hee-haw. If students have any particularly original transformation props, the teacher will interview them about their inspiration. Alternately, the teacher could have the whole class stand and warm up together, or another option is to remind students that shortly after his transformation, Bottom sings in addition to making donkey noises. They can ask for song recommendations and invite the class to sing them in the style of Bottom as a donkey, encouraging students to give a reason that links Bottom to the song they suggest. Teachers may want to establish some volume restrictions for the hee-hawing. Consider telling students that Bottom is suffering from minor laryngitis from all his acting exertions and can only sing very softly. Additionally, if shyness is not an issue for the class, teachers can have students sing in small groups of 2 to 4. Okay, so whatever the teacher decides to do in those 5 minutes. Hey, next they'll move on to Shakespeare's language for 20 minutes. Students will be told that today they will be staging, rehearsing, and performing their mini scenes in the groups that were assigned in the previous lesson. The teacher will explain that performances have many components, but they are all grounded in and must be supported by the text. Students must be certain they know what happens in their scenes. So they'll have students turn to activity page 10.3 to reread their mini scenes in their groups and underline any words or phrases they don't understand. Each group will look at its mini scene and use the key questions on activity page 11.1 to analyze it, using their work from the previous lesson to help them. The teacher will point out that for activity page 11.1, because the scenes have more than one character speaking, there will be more than one answer for some of the questions. Then the class will come back together to read through Act 3, Scene 1, with each group reading its mini scene. After each mini scene, the group that read shares the summary it wrote in response to Part H of activity page 11.1, which says to explain the section in your own words. The teachers tell students that when performing, in addition to knowing exactly what happens in a scene, it is important to know what has already happened to the characters and what the characters are being set up for. In other words, what happens next. Students gather this kind of information by taking notes on the other group's summaries in the margins of their script. So as a check for understanding, the teacher should be circulating and checking students' notes. If necessary, asking struggling students, how does the character feel? And what does the character want in this scene to prompt their thinking? By the end of this exercise, all students should have a good sense of what happens in each mini scene of Act 3, Scene 1. Next, they'll move on to rehearsal for 20 minutes. The teacher will remind students of the work they did with their groups in the previous lesson and how and where characters move, then explain that today they will continue working on that as they think about how the characters speak and act. The teacher either projects or writes on the board the steps for rehearsal, which are here at the bottom of the screen. As a check for understanding, as students work, the teacher should be circulating and asking them to discuss their ideas for changes or additions. If necessary, the teacher can also ask students questions to prompt their thinking, such as, are there other important moments you forgot? Are there other movements to add? Or do you want to change your adjectives? Next, they move on to performance for 30 minutes. So the teacher will clear a space in the front of the room for actors and bring the class together to share student performances. Students are told that if they are in the audience, they should listen carefully and applaud when the actors finish. When all scenes are finished, they are discussed with students, including asking students to list their favorite moments in the other group scenes and what made them memorable. The teacher, I would record this, record their performances or take lots of pictures just for memory purposes. You can use them to show your next class the next year. Okay, after performances, they're going to move on to writing for 15 minutes. For writing, students will turn to activity page 11.2 to create a profile for the character they played, or in the case of smaller parts, their character group, for example, fairies and workmen. Students who served only as directors may profile any character in their mini scene. Okay, and this activity can also be done before their performances. The teacher may have students regroup by character so that students who share a character are all working together. As time allows, students share something new they learned about their character through performance or while completing the profile. The teacher may collect the activity page to review students' writing and provide feedback. And that concludes lesson 11. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.